Well, another frustrating loss for the Phillies as they lose 4-1 to the Colorado Rockies tonight. And recently, just this recent stretch of baseball where this Phillies team just cannot find a way to get the offense clicking whatsoever. It's kind of unwatchable baseball right now just because you're scoring less than 3 runs a game at this point. Yeah, you'll get that one, granted, game possibly where your offense wakes up and you score maybe 5+ runs. You score those 10+ run games that they've had, over the past week and a half. But mainly, it's been three less runs, 3 or less runs. A lot of guys going 0-4. Guys can't hit with runners in scoring position. Really just leaving your pitchers out to dry at this point. And I think for this game, Aaron Nola was not the issue. I think Aaron Nola in this game was pretty solid. I think Aaron Nola was pretty solid in this game. He only gave up the 1 run, and that was a Charlie Blackmon home run. I thought he was pretty solid throughout the entire thing. Yeah, the Rockies pitchers, they were pretty good throughout the entire day. The Phillies literally had, 2 hits through 7 innings? That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it whatsoever. And one of your first hits of the game was a Bryce Harper single in the first inning. And then you only had 1 hit through the rest of the ball game through the 7th or 8th inning. And then you had chances with runners in scoring position in the 8th inning. Sadly, it was a heartbreaking play. JT Realmuto liner right back to the pitcher. And Didi Gregorius got doubled up at second base. Can't happen, but that was just an unfortunate event, in my honest opinion. That was really unfortunate and unlucky. Also, you got some bad base running as well. Rhys Hoskins got on base earlier in the game as well. He got picked off at first. That can't happen. I don't know why Rhys Hoskins is getting picked off at first base. I don't know why he's even thinking about doing anything on the base path at that point. You shouldn't be thinking of running if you're Rhys Hoskins because that's not what your game is. I don't know why you're getting picked off at first base. Offense isn't clicking right now. And I'm still going to stress it's early, and I still am going to stress that this offense is eventually going to wake up. This team is eventually going to get better. Early season struggles, most of the time, don't amount to anything. But still, it doesn't make it any less frustrating. And it's getting to the point where we're saying, boys, wake it the fuck up. It's getting a little old at this point. Still, I'm going to stress it's early, and I stress this team is still going to get better, which I do believe 1,000%. And I stand by that 1,000%. I know some other people won't, but I do. Some of the more smarter people, more diehards, they understand. They understand, yes, this team is eventually going to wake up. But it's getting to a point where, boys, let's get the fuck going at this point because it's getting a little old. It's getting a little tiring. Talking about the same thing every single game, just watching this unwatchable baseball to start the season. Still, I'm not worried. I know I keep repeating that. Still not worried. Doesn't make it any less frustrating now. It makes it really, really frustrating at this point. But before we get into all this stuff, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And before we get into this, another Phillies loss over the Colorado Rockies, the most important thing you can do is hit that subscribe button. Also, drop a like on the like button as well. If you're looking for all the latest Philadelphia sports news, recaps, and events, this is the place to be at, depending on the outcome, great or miserable, depending on the outcome. Also, if you're a current viewer of the channel, I'm grateful for you being here that long and looking to continue that down the road. And if you're looking for tickets to upcoming sporting events, concerts, whatever you can think of, use the code TTPSPORTS down below for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. So you can get yourself some Sixers playoff home games. They lead 2-0 in the series against the Toronto Raptors. Maybe get yourself some Game 5 tickets. Maybe they advance to the second round. Get yourself some Game Round 2 home tickets. Can't pass that up. Get yourself some Phillies home tickets. It's a deal that you can't pass up. $20 in your pocket. Use that for parking. Use that for concessions. Anything you can think of. It's a good deal. Use the code TTP Sports for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek today. So, Phillies dropped this first game of the 3-game set with the Colorado Rockies by a score of 4-1. I don't think Aaron Nola was the issue in this game. I thought he was pretty decent in this game. He allows 2 earned runs, but the second earned run was just a horrible outing by Jose Alvarado where he's literally throwing to the backdrop behind JT Realmuto literally every single pitch in a row. And granted, one of those wild pitches was eventually going to allow the runner from third to come home. It was just a terrible sequence and a just terrible performance by Jose Alvarado that allowed that run to score and to put another earned run on the night for Aaron Nola. But overall, I thought he was pretty solid, using the changeup a lot, getting some guys out. He got into a little bit of jams, but he managed to get out of those situations. Really, his only mistake pitch tonight was a home run to Charlie Blackmon. That really was it. I'm not going to blame Aaron Nola on this loss. I'm not going to be insanely critical of Aaron Nola because I thought he was pretty solid for the most part. He goes 5 1/3 innings, allows 6 hits, 2 earned runs, although one of those runs was because of Jose Alvarado. 1 walk, 4 Ks, and the home run allowed to Charlie Blackmon on 84 pitches. Jose Alvarado's side, he finishes off that 6th inning, was terrible, basically throwing the ball behind JT Realmuto 20 billion times, and on that 20th billion time, allowed the runner from third to score, make it a 2-0 ball game at that point in the 6th inning. Norwood comes in, he allows another 2 earned runs, not good there. So he goes an inning, 2 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 1 walk. Knievel comes in for the 8th inning. He did a solid job. Basically, at this point, he needs to, come into these games and pitch because the Phillies aren't putting him in situations where he has to close games out. So I understand Joe Girardi's aspect. He's got to come into these games and pitch. He's got to get his arm loosened up. So I completely understand that aspect out of Joe Girardi. But basically, you had 2 hits in this ball game basically throughout, I would say, over half of this game, throughout at least the 7th inning. 2 of those hits were from Bryce Harper, and another one of those hits, it looked like it was from JT Realmuto. So 2 of the top guys in your lineup get the 2 hits in the ball game through the first 7 innings. Yeah, you maybe get on with a walk or 2. Rhys Hoskins walked a couple of times, but he also gets picked off at first base. To get that 6th inning, Nola allows the home run to Blackmon. Alvarado allows, those other runs to come in. Norwood in the same thing in the 8th inning, allowed, a double, score 2 runs. You had a chance in the 8th, though. You did have a chance in that 8th inning, and you weren't able to come up with anything. Alec Bohm, Gene Segura, they both lead off the 8th inning with singles. Stott then lines out, but then Didi Gregorius doubles down the left field line, brings home a run, so you got a 2nd and 3rd situation for JT Realmuto. He works the count, goes down 0-2, eventually gets it to, I think, around 2-2, 3-2 in the count. And just a very unfortunate, unlucky event. He lines it right back to the pitcher, and he doubles up Didi Gregorius at second base, to where at that point, I think if you're Didi, you maybe shouldn't be leading off second base that much, but also with the way that hit looked, it looked like it was going to be a hit right off the bat. And it was just an unfortunate event, and it went right back to the pitcher, and he doubled up Didi to end the inning from that aspect. And basically from that play, you knew the game was over. They were not going to come back in this ball game. If JT got a hit in that aspect, that ball was able to go through the hole and manage to get into the field, maybe there was an aspect where you probably, wake up a little bit and you do come back into this ball game. After that play, you're not. You're just not. You're just not coming back in that ball game after that unfortunate event. So basically, that's where you stand from this ball game. But otherwise, it was a pretty boring ball game nonetheless. Kuhl was really solid for the Rockies. 6 innings, 4 Ks. I think he did come out of this ball game early on with an injury, so they took him out early. I think it was injured. I think they said he had a cut on his finger, so they just didn't want to, aggravate that too much. But still, overall, the Rockies pitching was very solid in this ball game. So, yeah. At this point, with the way we are with the offense, like I said, I'm still going to stress that I'm not worried about this team whatsoever. I do believe they are going to get better. Everything does even out in the end. And still, we are, 11 games into the season. Early season struggles tend, not to last that long in retrospect. If you look at a lot of other teams in previous seasons, not saying this team is going to win a World Series from that aspect, but still, I do believe they're eventually going to get better. It doesn't make it any less frustrating because we're at this point where we're watching so much unwatchable baseball where you're scoring 3 or less runs a game. You're leaving your pitching out there to dry when they blow up as well, and you're completely out of the ball game. We're at this point where we're saying, boys, wake the fuck up and let's get going, because this is getting really frustrating to watch. As regardless, I am, not worried at all. Not worried whatsoever. I'm going to keep stressing that. 100%, 1,000%, I do stand by that statement. Doesn't make it any less frustrating, though. And I really don't blame anyone else for being frustrated at this point. Shouldn't be giving up on the team, but I don't blame anyone whatsoever for being frustrated. Going to the lineup today, JT Realmuto, 1 for 4 in this ball game. Bryce Harper, he's DHing, I think, for majority of the series. Joe Girardi said he does have irritation in his right elbow. I think that same right elbow where he was holding it a little bit during that Mets series, maybe it's starting to come back to bother him a little bit, but he's still going to be in the lineup. He's still going to be DHing. Nick Castellanos, he goes over 4 in this ball game, 2 strikeouts. Rhys Hoskins goes over 2 with 2 walks. Kyle Schwarber, another 0 for a day. He goes over 4. Alec Bohm, he goes 1 for 3 in this ball game with a run scored. He had, a little bit of mishaps in the field, specifically in that foul territory situation where he could have caught a fly ball in foul territory. He kind of tripped over the tarp and fell over himself a little bit there, but still it didn't come back to mean anything. It was just one of those other unfortunate events for Alec Boehm in the field, sadly, because he's not that good of a defender. He's a really terrible defender in that fact. Gene Segura goes 1 for 3. Bryson Stott been struggling a little bit at the plate. He goes over 3. I think a couple of days ago, he also went over 5 in one of the games against Miami. He struck out all 5 times. So yeah, he's going through his adjustments at the plate so far. Matt Vierling, he goes over 2, eventually got pinch hit for Didi Gregorius. He went 1 for 1 in that aspect, drove in an RBI, the lone RBI in this game. And Muzziotti, he didn't, I guess record a bat at all in this ball game. I guess he eventually came in for the defensive substitution after Matt Vierling came out of this ball game. So yeah, in terms of runners in scoring position, the Phillies went 1 for 4. They did not have many runners in scoring position throughout this entire game. The only chances they really had with those runners in scoring position were, I believe, in the 8th inning. I believe so, because I remember them saying during the broadcast and on post game that they did not have a runner on second base basically throughout the entire ball game. 2 hits through 7 innings, and then you get that 8th inning where you have those chances, and sadly, the unfortunate events did come to play. So the rest of the series, you're going to have Kyle Gibson tomorrow, and you're going to have Zack Eflin on Wednesday. Tomorrow as well is an 8:40 start for the Eastern time, and then I believe on Wednesday it's going to be around a 3:30, 4 o'clock start. I think in between those, I think it was like 3:40 or something like that. So you're going to get an afternoon game on Wednesday before you finally have your first off day of the season this Thursday, before you come home for the weekend series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Like I said, still going to stress, I'm 1,000%, 100,000% sticking to the statement that I'm not worried about the team. They're going to get better. The bats are eventually going to wake up. Doesn't make it any less frustrating, though, because I'm at the point where it's like, boys, wake it the fuck up. They got to start waking it the fuck up soon, because it's really been pretty much unwatchable baseball for the first week and a half of the season. Been pretty much that aspect. I don't blame people for being frustrated at one aspect at all. I don't. Channel name says Alvarado throws too hard with no control. Yeah, that's basically been his MO his entire career. He's a hard thrower, has no command whatsoever of his pitches. He's going to have his good outings, and he's going to have his outings where it's like, oh, God, here we go again. That's basically the entire Jose Alvarado experience at this point. Also says still very early. Offense will wake up. I 100% agree with you. I feel like that's the mindset to have. But still, I don't blame people for being frustrated at this point, because this is very frustrating to watch. It's unwatchable baseball. It really is. But we'll see how they bounce back tomorrow, see if they can find a way to get a win in this series in Colorado. I definitely don't want to see this team getting swept in Colorado and going very quiet with the offense, because this is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. I want to see this offense wake up tomorrow. I want to see it wake up. Definitely. So that's going to do it for this video, everyone. What are your thoughts on this game? Are you worried entirely about the team? Do you still think the offense will wake up eventually? The team will get better? So don't forget to leave those comments and opinions down in the comment section below. I like to see those as always. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. Don't forget to check out the panel lines, which I'm a part of. Their links are down in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the links to BrodesMedia, the Florida Pine merch website, also Flyers Nitty Gritty. All the good stuff is down in the description below. Don't forget to check those out. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button, and also use the code TTPSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. And I will see you next time.